The new trailer of Fantastic Four is here, and most likely, if we exclude the TV spots and those short 30-second clips, this is going to be their final trailer, where they've shown us quite a lot. So, let's go through it, one detail at a time. But first, a small warning. There may be minor spoilers regarding the movie. Still, I'll try my best not to spoil the actual story for you in any way. For the most part, we'll stick to comic book references and Easter eggs. The trailer starts with the same Dead Gilbert show we've seen in several teaser trailers before. And as soon as the Fantastic Four are introduced, their watches start beeping. We already talked about these wristwatches in the previous trailer breakdown, where I mentioned how Reed creates such devices in the comics. Though they're not always super important, this trailer makes it clear what their purpose might be. These watches seem to work as an early warning system, alerting the Fantastic Four of any threat approaching Earth. And I really like the aesthetics. It feels like something from the 1960s or 70s. That said, I don't think this is the Silver Surfer's alert just yet. He doesn't attack here. We see his entry a bit later in the trailer, just when the team is about to sit down for Sunday night dinner. If you look closely, even in that dinner scene, the watches beep again. So, this scene probably sets up another villain, or is just meant to introduce the Fantastic Four early in the film. Like those traditional comic villains, Red Ghost or Mole Man, maybe one of them is being teased here. Then we see the Fantastic Four using their powers. What's interesting is that in all the teasers so far, Reed and Susan's powers have barely been shown. In fact, Susan only gets one shot, where she uses her powers, and they've been reusing that shot. It's pretty clear the VFX for the movie isn't fully finished yet, which is probably why some of their powers are being kept under wraps. We do, however, see Johnny Flame on and fly, and he even forms that classic 4 symbol in the sky, just like in the comics. Fun fact, in the comics, Johnny doesn't need hand gestures or even flight to control fire. He can use pyrokinesis just with his thoughts, shaping flames into any structure. There's also a fun Coppertone Sunscreen Easter egg, which I found interesting. In real life, it was developed around the 1940s by a man named Benjamin Green. Maybe that's a playful nod to Ben Grimm? If you check out the poster, Coppertone has actually used a similar design in the real world. And, as expected, the girls go crazy for Johnny. No surprise. It happens in the comics too. And no, his suit isn't burning. Reed designs suits tailored to each member's powers, just like in the comics. So Reed can stretch without tearing his suit, Ben's rocky form doesn't destroy his, Susan's suit goes invisible, and Johnny's suit withstands flame. Then we see Ben Grimm walking down his home street, Yancey Street. In the comics, this is actually Ben's home. Look at the shop numbers, 7126, 7127, 7135. That's a direct nod to his comic book home address. There's also a bakery sign that says Silverman's Bakery, but the M is missing, so it just says Silver. Could be another Easter egg for the Silver Surfer. We also get a heavy reference to Ben Grimm's iconic comic line, "It's clobberin' time." But instead of saying it outright, people ask him, "You know what time it is?" And he just responds that it's not something you say. It only works in cartoons. That could be a cheeky nod to the old Fantastic Four cartoons and comics. Then we get the entry of Silver Surfer, who drops an epic line, "I herald your beginning, I herald your end. I herald Galactus." So clearly, he's here as a warning. Johnny flames on and chases him, followed by the team in their Fantasticar, racing through Times Square. Look closely, and you'll spot some great Easter eggs, like a poster for Attack of the Fungi. Fungi is a very minor Marvel villain from a Captain America comic. There's also an Intel poster, possibly referencing the time cap was frozen in ice. And if that seems like a stretch, look again. You'll see the name Greg Nigel, likely a reference to Dr. Wilfred Nigel from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, who worked on the Super Soldier Serum. Below that is the name Stevie Elm, maybe a reference to Steve Rogers. Silver Surfer's arrival clearly frightens the Fantastic Four. Then we see them meeting Galactus on his world ship. If you've seen our Galactus origin video, you'll know this ship is called Taa II, built from the remains of the very first planet Galactus consumed, possibly Archaeopia. The ship is massive. Galactus doesn't always travel in it due to its sheer size, but he sometimes uses a smaller, saucer-like craft. The MCU may have scaled things down a bit, but here you can see the contrast between Galactus' ship and the Fantastic Four's vehicle. The team meets Galactus, and their faces show pure shock. They probably thought they could negotiate, but once they see his full size, they understand what they're really up against. His armor looks dynamic, with parts of it morphing, especially his hand. The whole environment, lava flowing, pipes emerging, gives off a bit of a Transformers vibe. It looks visually stunning, and if we compare this scene to the previous trailers, it's likely that this is the second time the team has gone to space. They already have their powers. Ben is in his thing form, and Susan appears pregnant here. So whatever conversation they have with Galactus goes poorly. They rush back to their ship. If you look closely, Ben is carrying Johnny on his shoulder, meaning Johnny probably tried to fight Galactus, or the Surfer, and got knocked out. Reed shouts at Ben to get them out quickly. This shows Ben is the ship's pilot, just like in the original comics, where he flew the ship because he was the only one who could. And it seems Susan gives birth to Franklin during this space journey. In an earlier teaser, we saw her in distress, wearing the same suit. When they return to Earth, they're surrounded by reporters asking, "Can you save us from Galactus?" Reed simply replies, "I don't know." It's clear. They've met Galactus and are genuinely terrified. And yes, Susan is holding a baby, which means she gave birth in space. That's when the real panic sets in. Until that point, they probably believed they could stop Galactus. After all, they were Earth's protectors. But now, all hope seems lost. Reed starts working out equations on huge boards, just like in the comics, where he has a private lab covered in formulas across walls, floors, everywhere, and no one is allowed to disturb him. Soon, people start turning on the Fantastic Four, saying, "We believed in you, and now you've doomed us." Galactus is now walking through New York City, which is strange, because if he really wanted to consume Earth, he could do it from orbit. So why is he walking the streets? Maybe the humans were evacuated. We see some underground bunkers in a few scenes. In the comics, there's a whole underground civilization called Subterranea, ruled partially by Mole Man. Maybe the humans are hidden there for safety. But I think Galactus has another agenda. Maybe he wants to communicate with the Fantastic Four. Or maybe he needs their help. Or maybe he wants Franklin Richards. Before you call that ridiculous, Franklin and Galactus share a very deep connection in the comics, but we'll save that discussion for another day. We also see some massive structures being activated, one of them near the Eiffel Tower. These are probably shields or defenses built by the Fantastic Four to protect Earth. But even that might not be enough. Then there's a really cool shot of Ben Grimm with a rock beard. That's rare in the comics. There's only one instance where Ben is shown aging and growing a beard. Fun fact, in the comics, Ben ages very slowly. He can live for thousands of years without dying. Though, yeah, he'd live without dying, obviously. So this might indicate a time jump in the movie. After their encounter with Galactus and Franklin's birth, maybe a year or more passes as they prepare for a final battle. And Ben grows a beard in that time. And then comes the moment. Ben doesn't say it, but you can feel it. It's clobberin' time. He launches into a cannonball-like attack, smashing through something. Everyone starts fighting Galactus in their own way. Reed is holding a rod that he pushes into a joint in Galactus's finger. This helps give us scale. Galactus is so huge that Reed's entire body fits into one of his finger joints. Though yes, Reed can stretch more, but we'll save that for another video. And that's everything I noticed in the Fantastic Four. First Steps final trailer. We'll dive deeper into this soon. There are still some theories I'm figuring out, all while avoiding story spoilers. But you let me know what you think. What did you notice? How do you interpret it? All right then, see you in the next one. Bye.